Hi, my name is Mark Lang. We're at the Pitco Magic Kitchen booth here in Chicago. Today we're going to show you the new Pitco ROV Fryers, the reduced oil volume fryers. These fryers are basically an evolution of a frying system that evolved as the filtration systems have gotten better and better over time. What this fryer is based upon is the notion that we're going to filter the fryer a lot more frequently because filtration has become very easy. Oil life and oil savings is a very big part of the disposable expense of a restaurant operation. With the ROV fryers, we've taken that cold zone, that area below the tubes where the heat is produced, where all the sediment collects, and we've reduced that area by 40%, taking 40% of the oil volume out of the fryer. Essentially what we're doing is the computer is telling us how often to change that oil, and we're able to determine the frequency of filtration based upon the number of drops that we have of a specific product. In the grand scheme of things, we're getting a 40% reduction of oil just off of the initial fill when we first fill up the fryer. So we took a 50-pound fryer and the capacity of a 50-pound fryer, but we're doing it now with 30 pounds of oil. But something else interesting happens here, and every time you cook product and you drag food out of the fryer, you're also dragging a little bit of oil. And that drag out needs to be replaced and replenished every once in a while. When you're replenishing that oil, you're replenishing it with fresh, clean oil. So you're diluting the old oil with new oil. And that dilution factor at 30 pounds is a lot more of an influence than it is at 50 pounds. So when we're normally getting roughly 7 days of oil life out of our oil, with these new ROV fryers, we're easily getting 14 days. And depending upon the menu and the product that's going through there, you can easily get up to 21 days, depending upon the type of menu items that you're cooking with. This particular model features an automatic filtration as well as an automatic top-off system. The jug-in-box, the oil replenishment system, is right there on board with the fryer, and there's a built-in sensor that will recognize when the oil level drops and it needs to be replenished. That replenishment, again, plays a very important role in making sure that that oil quality and oil life is extended over time. To filter this fryer, you're literally going to push a button and it's going to prompt you into whether or not it's going to ask you for safety reasons that the filter plan is in place. It's going to ask you if you want to sense the oil quality, and that's another feature that we'll go into next. And it goes through an automatic filtration cycle. The employee doesn't need to do anything else at this point. It will automatically open up the drain. The oil will drain into the filter pan and then pump itself back into the fryer. The process takes about 3.5 minutes when you have 30 pounds of oil. And while that particular fryer is filtering, you can easily cook in the other two fryers to keep the operation running smoothly. Now that oil sensor is another feature that we have here. What the oil sensor is doing, there's a couple different ways you can test for the quality of oil. Some customers will take a sample of that oil and they'll hold it into a glass vial and they'll do a color chart and try to look at the color of the oil to determine whether or not it needs to be replaced. Another method is to use a test strip, a little 3M test strip. But again, that method isn't really accurate, as accurate as it really needs to be. What we really want to know is what are the total polar compounds in the oil. Knowing what the total polar compounds are is a very accurate way to determine whether or not the oil life has been exhausted and it needs to be replaced. This piece over here demonstrates how that oil quality sensor works. The oil quality sensor resides in the filtration system, so after the oil goes through the paper filter, it will run over this sensor and it will tell us what the chemical makeup is of the oil and determine whether or not it needs to be replaced. So for example, this will be fryer 1, fryer 2, fryer 3. We push the button, it's going to start draining, it's going through the filter system, and you'll see here's the sensor that's going to determine what the total polar compounds are. The important thing about the oil quality sensor is sometimes when you have a battery of fryers in a lineup, and maybe during a not so busy period, you'll have an employee that will continue to go to the same fryer time and time again, while the other 3 fryers in the lineup may not be getting any use at all. So we really want to know that if the specific fryer that needs to be replaced, the oil needs to be replaced, that's the fryer that we're replacing that oil, and not replacing all the oil in every fryer, say for example, on a weekly schedule. We know exactly what the quality of the oil is. That one has a 6% total polar compounds, which means it's good to go and it's still good to cook and still producing quality product. Really what this does is it saves the end user a dramatic amount of money over the course of the fryer. The payback period can be anywhere from 6 to 12 months, and it's really made a big difference in the quality of food that comes out of the fryer and the bottom line to the restaurant operator. Thanks for stopping by.